Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for being here. Maybe for some of you, it's the first time you see me. I've actually started this association a year and a half ago. I think end of 24, when Claude Sonnet 3.5 came out, and at that moment I thought, that's it. It's time to start a community because AI is becoming quite powerful. And it's time to bring like-minded people together, people who understand I would say, the power of AI. Everybody kind of understand, or everybody hear about it, but the people who use it and really learn to use it, that's what I was telling in the beginning. The people who learn to use it are the people who are going to have a huge advantage within a year or two. And I think today we are at that point where AI is so powerful, it's crazy, it's just growing exponentially. So yeah, if you are not using it fully right now, I encourage you to really get involved, play with AI, just try the different models, try to apply AI to what you're doing today, yeah, for anything, your everyday life things or your work things, and you can just understand how it can help you. But then once you know how to use it, you can go to the next level where you can start to think about automation, how you will automate your tasks with AI. And then you can go another level. You can start to think about multi-AI, multi-agents working together. So you can have one agent, one AI that manage other AIs. And then you can go further and further. It's infinite. And we are still in the beginning of the power that is going to be unleashed. Yeah. So I guess anyone here is kind of interested in AI or use AI. And the idea is to bring people together that have the same interest and passion for learning. And that's the idea of the community. We share our expertise, but also we want to give and receive from everybody. And also we don't want to be alone working our code. I was talking to a friend yesterday. He cannot sleep anymore. And I have the same problem. AI do not let me, it doesn't let me go. Now it's even on my phone, so it just talks back and forth to me, and it's crazy. But again, you can be scared of AI, or you can embrace it and just be, augmented. And that's the topic of today. We are talking about harness engineering. So previously, we were learning how to prompt, then how to develop the context for the prompting. And now I'll let the floor to Denis and Nicolas, yeah, to explain us what is harness engineering, which is the next level of exponential growth of utilization of AI.
Thank you, Carl. It is. All right. So first, just a small introduction about who we are. So just in a nutshell, we are a small startup that deliver solutions specialized in financial companies. We integrate them into their banking systems or their operational workflows. Of course, because it's a regulated industry, with all the compliance that it means, and we run these apps in production. More concretely, what it means, of course, it's not just chatbots, it's headless agents, it's web application, it's custom introductions like tools, but also data pipelines. So enough about ourselves. Let's deep dive into the topic. So harness engineering, what does it mean? So this is a new term that is now being published by a few of the big tech companies like OpenAI or Anthropic, 2 articles that actually came out in February and March. And what's essentially 2 things that I want to start with before we actually deep dive into the definitions. Here in the room, how many of you have already used Claude Code? Okay, half of the room. How many are developers professionally? Okay, about a quarter. And how many set up multiple Claude sessions in parallel? Okay, about 6, 7 people. Good. So this morning I was reading on Reddit a post that got me a little bit like, wow, I'm far from that. There is one guy who actually runs 17 sessions in parallel, running 24/7. He went from 80 commits a month to about 1,400 commits per month, which sounds completely crazy. And you think, how the hell do they manage that? The other thing that surprised me a little bit from this article from OpenAI was also in just a few hours, they used Codex to create a whole application that spitted out like 1 million line of code, and the app is working perfectly fine. And I think for me, the moral of the story is not about the number of commits or the number of line of code, because this doesn't really matter. It's more about how did the engineering team put everything in place to be able to run and create these apps without writing manually any line of code. So that's the topic of today. How did we go from this new paradigm shift in AI coding in terms of the copilot era, when we do just small, simple tasks, to actually what I call the conductor era, where we actually do long-running autopilot tasks. So I shamelessly stole this chart from a blog post where there is what we say like prompt engineering from 2022 and 24. I ignore all the different evolutions of AI during these years, but just what it means in terms of context. So first, how we ask the agents to answer to have the best output. Then it was context engineering, how we optimize the context that we pass to the agents during a single loop session. And now what we call harness design and engineering is how the whole thing around the agents operates this for long-running tasks. I'm digging a little bit more into this. So we were saying like now, if AI coders, like coding agents, can do everything for us, like is software engineering dead? No, there's still a lot of things that we can optimize. And it starts with the prompts, of course, like with prompt engineering, developer workflow, context across sessions. So with context engineering, verification loops to verify everything's fine. The resource consumption is going to be increasingly important in the future, given that for now, we are still like a minority of people that actually leverage really AI, but it's going to increase over time. And we are limited in resources. The cost is quite low at the moment, and it's going to increase as well in the future. So we have to optimize more and more towards this type of issues. And then the context window. Of course, when we optimize all of this and all that we put in parallel, we have also to define the right level of autonomy. How much do we let the AI go without our approval or without... and so that's when I see posts like this, where you have 17 sessions in parallel running 24/7, I wonder what level of autonomy they actually went through. Of course, like in a regulated environment, like a bank, it's very hard to imagine this type of thing. So just putting it all together into simple definitions, I'll just read it out. So harness design is deciding what that harness looks like, what rules, prompts, file structures, guardrails, and workflows you put around the AI agents before it starts working. And then harness engineering is the practice of actually building, testing, improving those harnesses over time as you learn what works and what doesn't. And this is what we're going to talk today about. So I don't know if that resonates a little bit for you, but today, this 2026, like, I mean, Cloud Code was already like this for me in 2025, but 2026 is now like, wow, Cloud Code is amazing. Everybody is just, we talk about it everywhere. People are crazy about it. At the same time, there's a lot of issues that comes with it, and I'll come to it a little bit later on. So I'll pass on now to Denis to talk about how we use it in our day-to-day work.
Yes, thank you, Nico. It was very clear, at least to me. And yes, today I will present how we are using it in our day-to-day work. And I mostly will split it on 3 different phases. So the first one is what I call a project brainstorming. So here the main idea, some of you are developers, some are not. But when you want to start something, the very important goal is that you need to align with every team members what are you going to build and what is the goal of this application. For example, if I want to build it alone, I can understand what I want, but we need all agree on this part. And this is why the AI is very powerful, because when, for example, I started my university, all these parts we needed to do manually, to draw some sketches and design these parts. like workflow diagrams or the project structure. And the problem was that it's very time consuming. Now in the matters of a few hours, so really during one meeting, we can build, for example, you can see here a workflow diagram. For example, we can, I don't know if you see in the end, but like user clicks on a button, something happens, you click save, then there is a required node dialog, and etc. And we actually can see how the whole application is working, and this can be very big. Then the project structure is also very important to think what will be your stack. For example, if it's a front end, you will use React. If you're going to have one database on local, one database on Azure, Fast API backend, and you will have also a Docker to run it locally and on Kubernetes cluster. And of course, AI can build all this structure very fast. And finally, the documentation, of course, it's very important. And I think nobody likes to write documentation. This is why AI can read, parse, and update. This is also very important to update, because often I saw somebody wrote the documentation in the beginning and never touched it again. And AI can iteratively update this part. Then the second phase is the rapid prototyping. This is also very powerful. I like this feature because when we can align on a architecture, we can agree on what is the goal of our application. But on the interface is much more difficult, because every person have a different visual memory and visual understanding of every part. And when you need to draw everything by hand, it can take weeks. Here I will show you at the end of the meeting a demo how we can first create a sketch by hand or by prompting, then create an interactive UI where can you actually click on buttons and change them. And finally, we can export and deploy in a matter of few clicks. And then we can do A/B testing and all other validations we want to do before actually agree on a UI. And the final phase, the third one, is the development styles. Actually, this is depending on you and depending on your team. For example, some of the people want to use the architecture we defined in the first step, and then just ask to implement this architecture step by step. This is with the Claude. For those who didn't use, they can create what we call markdown files, descriptions. We can define step by step what we want to have, and how Nico calls them, it's meta prompting. Claude can actually improve himself by defining, okay, this part was wrong, I want to improve it in the next step, or this is the structure that our project is using. When we're deploying different projects, we can reuse the same structure and the same basis to make it even more faster. Or we can use it to making precise modifications. For example, if you just want to change one button or one function call, you can change it like before. And now Nico will discuss about the development workflow, how he's using it in our products.
I think the microphone is dead. I'll drop it. All right, so this is another way of how we work. So we love to actually create tickets into GitHub. So we create projects and we put all the tickets, like we try to break down all our projects into very small pieces, so that we can, first of all, iterate on what's the problem and put the explanations. Sometimes we even describe the problem that we have with AI and create the ticket for us. We track it down here, and then we can just manage from here actually what are the tickets that we work on, which are the tickets that we're passing to DLM to work on, and then we can potentially even automate that. Some people, for instance, in my team at my clients, automated that process completely from the swim lane on the left to the right with just a few iterations while the human has to give an input. The second part is actually providing enough context. So the first thing is to describe the issue, the what, and also the why, the context of why the issue is there. So it's very important to give enough context. Is this one working? Perfect. To give enough context for the LLM, this is actually I think now our work is more moving into describing the maximum of context to the LLM to make sure that it does its work well. So we are now responsible for this when we work with multiple agents. If they make mistakes, usually it's because we didn't give enough context. Of course, we can iterate on these tickets, adding when we give, and we can iterate on the specs. So it's very important actually that we define an architecture and a spec, especially if it's a bigger task. When it's a very small task, maybe it's not worth it, but I prefer to make sure that I go through these steps before I approve, and then it actually merge my code. Before it merge, I verify it every time anyway, I test it. And then I was showing this picture earlier about all the multiple sessions. Since actually one of my manager at my client is using Conductor, I started to use it. And it made a big difference. I can now run a lot of different work trees, so code Scott session running in parallel, and I give small tasks, and they ping me every time there's an update that they need me for, like a question, or if they finish working and they need to review the code or to merge and so on and so forth. So that's essentially a way that I work. There's plenty of way of working. In my team alone, in Velario or even at my clients, I saw like plenty of different ways of working in terms of automating the work and also working with AI coding agents. All right, so I think there's a lot of theory there, but then we wanted to be a little bit more concrete and show some apps that we built. So one is that I'm working actively at the moment. It's called the Vercio CV app. So this is an application which helps people to create versions of CV that are tailored for a particular job description. So you give it a job description, and it will change your current CV, actually format it in a way that it match really well the keywords, potentially toggle or untoggle some experiences that are not relevant, or skills, and so on and so forth. So the whole goal is actually to customize the resume so that it maximizes as well the compatibility with ATS system. ATS systems is applicant tracking system that every company has. When they receive 300 CVs for a particular job, usually they don't read all of them. They have first a skim through the keyword match on which ones would come first. Like, let's say 50 resume, then they would read that and make some selections based on that. The application also is actually a target not only individual, but mainly consulting companies and staffing agencies, because this creates a normalized version of resume that are easy to send them to, given a job application, you have multiple candidates that you can send the resume. It will standardize the resume for that company and then send it across. So that's for the Vercio CV app. All the things that I showed before, just like in our workflow, when I iterate, I receive feedback from users. I log it into my GitHub project, and then I iterate on it like this. Almost every day, I ship at least 6 to 7 tickets a day, just in the morning before going to work, or in the evening when I have some time, and just then push to prod every 2 or 3 days when I have some time. I'll pass it on to you.
Yes, thank you. And from the beginning of this year, we're working also on the reconciliation app. So what is reconciliation? It's actually when you have 2 different data sets of data and you want to compare them if they are the same or not. This is, for example, when a banker wants to compare the data with the custodian, for example. And this process can seem easy, but actually there are a lot of different difficult parts. For example, the first one is the data extraction, because we don't know what data is the client using. It can be PDF files, Excel, CSV, and others. And it's very difficult to extract the data from these files. And we actually can extract in the same format from different data sources. Then we wrote an algorithm to compare these records, and this can be just simple string matches, but it can also some more difficult parts, like, for example, we discussed with the person who is interested in. He told that once there was a font that was bought by another font, and actually the name changed, but not in the system. So in the case of, just fuzzy match, it will never match. So we used AI for this part. So a user can like prompt, okay, this is the name of the font. It's changed, but in the system it's always the same. So please match it. Then there are two different users. First can review and flag missing shades, for example, or different dates. And the second user can audit and validate the action. So we have a small example on the screen. And now, yes, let's build a demo. For this, we wanted to show you how we are using, Gemini for that. So this is Gemini. I don't know if somebody already used Gemini. Okay, perfect. So we are in the thinking mode, and the tools, we're going to select Canvas. And here we have an idea of an interface, but maybe you want to propose something. Do you have an idea of an app you wanted to try, a website or a phone app? Which application? To-do application.
Too classic.
We want an app for registration for this event.
For registration. Okay, perfect. Maybe can you just hold, please? Okay. So I'll write make interact.
Can you zoom in maybe a bit? Scale?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Interactive prototype.
AI doesn't care about spelling mistakes.
Sure. Interactive prototype for Swiss AI Unity. Okay, it doesn't care about. Yeah, because I cannot see on my screen.
Okay.
So
what type of feature do we want?
Yes. Which features do we want?
So payment, so name, address.
So registration form,
Payments.
calendar for the events.
Yeah, calendar.
Newsletter.
Social network. Workshops.
Information.
Workshops, yeah. Anything else?
What information would you like to know about
Calendar, yeah.
calendar? Yeah.
News, recent news.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's enough. Exactly.
Okay, let's try something like this.
Yeah, I might need to.
Okay, in the first step, it will build React code. Then it will render in the directly in the UI.
I switched. The way to zoom in.
Here we can see their different parts, the code and preview.
I'll just zoom in a little bit for people behind. Yeah, there's okay. It's plus. Is it big enough? Yeah.
Okay. Now, so as you can see, this is already interactive. We can join the community, fill the form. Okay. Continue to payment. It's blocked. We can try something.
And let's say, show an example where you don't like an element.
Okay.
Like you want to rework an element.
Meetings. Okay, nice. And maybe, what do we want to change?
Let's say I don't like the. I don't know. Is there something you don't like here? The font. Yeah, but there's actually a feature where you can select and choose a part of the application, and you can say exactly what you want to change.
Yeah, for example, let's say change the font on the filter bar.
And for just while we wait, I saw also other ways of working, of course, for those who use Figma. There's MCPs that exist to connect to Figma. But I also saw one of my colleagues, actually, Sebastian, who is here, who used Pencil, which works directly in the IDE and works similar to Figma. It can actually just show you exactly how the components are being developed, and you can pass a skill that are very targeted towards, for instance, the style of the website that my client is using, and it would create the entire app. You can see the evolution of the app directly on your IDE with the Pencil MCP, which is quite impressive. I haven't used it yet, but first time I saw it, I thought it was crazy.
So yes, you can see that now the fonts changed, and actually there's this bar too. So it's really easy, to select and ask something, or if we want, we can go to the code. Actually, this code we can modify it. So we can really code it directly here. Oops. But don't look at history. We can also share this to work to collaborate. That's how we do. And actually, if it's doing some mistakes, it will correct also himself because he has access to the console. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, probably I broke something. Let's say. I'll be able to search.
It's the demo effect.
The icon.
Anyone is building front end in the room? Yeah?
Do you know Stitch?
Stitch, yeah, of course, yeah. Actually, it's so funny because the founder of Stitch was at EPFL in the same year as me. Yeah. I met him a couple of times, but I never expected that one day he will be living in California and build a startup that will be bought by Google.
It's a bit slow today, but perfect. So now you can search something. So yes, this is how we are using, and it's really powerful because we can create a lot of different prototypes, test them with different people. We can also draw a sketch and just upload it here as a chat and say, okay, this is the ideas I have, please implement it. We can then just take the code, copy paste in a editor you are using, VS Code or any others, and just say, okay, integrate this with my backend. And this is working, so yes, great.
All right.
I will let me look again.
Coming back to the presentation.
Version of Geneva?
There is actually, yes.
This one, because it's
Yeah, no, this one is actually the one that we use is because we have a Google account with our company, so we have Gemini Pro.
But even if you have a free version, you can also use this canvas. You will be just limited the number of prompts you can
I
ask.
just thought that upgrade button there refers to the
So
Actually, be interesting to know what's the usage in terms of tokens of this demo that you just did. You actually have a look at it.
So I never used Canvas with an API. I always used on the interface because the powerful thing is that we can actually see the interface, the output. But I think you can do 5-6 requests with the free version, and then we'll be limited for a few hours. But with the paid version, you can actually do you can implement this any times you want, because I was never restricted on the usage. Yeah.
all right, so I accidentally leaked the next slide. So essentially, just to come on the to of course all the what comes with harness engineering and letting AI agent code for us comes with a bunch of challenges. The other day, I was working at my client and I saw the news about the light LLM supply chain attack. Has anyone heard about it from last week? Raise your hand for those who heard about it. Okay, so what happened essentially, there's a package in Python which can be installed whenever you update your application or you do just a simple pip install, which helps you install a package. And when you do this, it actually deploy, let's say, a virus on the computer that would leak all your secrets online. So this was a package that was released for approximately 3 hours. So thankfully, nothing happened on my side with this. I was very, very worried. But this is the type of things that we will see more and more. I think we're already seeing a lot, but we'll see more and more with this type of issues, especially now that we have agent that can install package for you, that is also bad with dates and might install old packages that might have security issues. So there's a lot of problems that can arise with that. So just bringing a little bit to a conclusion, I have 3 more slides to show. 3 ways agents betrayed our trust here. So I heard a funny story, I don't know from who, I think it was from you, where the WhatsApp, like setting up an automation with WhatsApp, starting to send messages to people that was not meant to be sent. So they started to answer from can tell the story later on. So yeah, stuff like this can happen. Also, when we started to work with it, of course, usually it tries to do too much at once. So you give it a task, you think that it can build something for you like in one go or at least in one session, and it's actually not a good idea at all, especially when the task is quite complex. Also, it can use tools or actions that we never ask for. So there's actually a lot of guardrails that we want the agent to use when we code. Sometimes you have to give clear directions, and here sometimes it would use tools that would break the app or even sometimes leak stuff online in the worst case scenario. The other stuff, it's about memory. So here I wrote, it forgot who it is, literally. There's multiple things, like for whoever used OpenClaw, which I think is an interesting first step into, how to build an app that has kind of a harness around it, but not too much at the same time, because it can be quite dangerous as well. But it has one particular file, which is called memory.md, that stores memories about you or what you do, and would just stack it and would load it into memory every time you start a new conversation with it. The problem with this is after a few weeks, or it depends how much you use it, it could be a few days, the file becomes very bloated and you could fill the entire context with just that file. So a lot of people experience that they would see the compacting. So compacting is when you take the entire context, you summarize it, and then you start a new conversation with that summarized conversation, and they would trigger it directly after a few messages. Then, of course, running out of context, the loss of coherence after a long session. So the more you talk you continue a single task, the more it will potentially lose the context from previously. And then I was saying as well, it's bad with dates and times. The other stuff, it happened to me when you code. It says like, I finished the job, but didn't finish the job at all. It actually skipped through like half of the tasks I asked. And I was very surprised. Like, I asked you this, this, and this, and you completely skipped everything. I mean, almost everything. I was very surprised that it would say, like, I'm done, I'm finished. I'm also super happy about what I've done, that this is here, here, and here. Sometimes you would say, I've done these tasks, but actually when you see in the code, there's nothing that was actually prepared for this. So always good to double check. So some of the stuff that happened. So lesson learned here from these is actually that it's good to, from planning before starting to work, of course. So you have an agent that could build the PRD, the architecture, you can iterate on that, and the specs, as I was showing before. Always good to do all of this before it starts coding, at least in my experience. The other stuff is the separation of concern. So for some people, they like to have sub-agents, which would have separate tasks. Like, so you don't have one agent that handles all, but instead have one that is specialized in reviewing, one that is specialized in actually building the architecture, some specialized in actually coding some specific features. And then up to you to decide the right level of autonomy. That's something that, for instance, OpenClaw has a lot of autonomy. On the opposite side, when you work, let's say, on open code codes in a terminal, and you want it to you want to approve every code change or every action that it's or terminal command that it executes, that's a very low amount of autonomy. So it's really up to you to decide what you feel safe or not. Then work in loops. You don't want to do too much at once. So as I was showing before, break down the work, step-by-step increments, build, verify, fix if there's anything to fix. And then, of course, proper testing. And testing can be also automated, either like just with unit tests, but also having MCPs that could launch a browser and then handle the UI testing for you. And the other stuff, which I found very important, is to treat memory as infrastructure. So because every fresh context, it's important to start a new context when you work on features that you don't want to, as I was saying before, have a bloated context and long-running sessions. You do one task, you start over a new conversation. But to make sure that it keeps the context across these sessions, you have to, of course, store some of the information somewhere. And it has to be files. The best way is actually with MD files. And there's multiple strategies on how to do that. So I'll skip through last slide. So just to iterate, so on our side, we are experimenting with it. We are definitely not the best in the field in terms of how we can do harness engineering. It's currently even something that Anthropic and OpenAI are experimenting. Some of them are, like, I mean, when I hear about people that can manage 17 agents at the same time and do 1,000 commits, like, how did I get to this level at the same time? Do I want to sleep a little bit as well? But it's to take time to, every time there's a mistake, instead of just, okay, ignoring the mistake and just trying to fix it, it's also, how do I put a harness around it so that the next time it doesn't happen again? So I think this resonated a lot with me. It's an iterative process. Everybody is on a journey with it. It's whether it's on the business side or for developers, when you start to build something or you want to interact with an agent that automates it for you, it will make mistakes, and then it's just finding some guardrails that you can put over it to not reproduce it. So that's it for this presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.
Are there any questions? We have some questions. Okay. Also, yeah. Also online, if you want to write in the chat, we will read it. So please.
Thanks for the talk. So you started and ended with the premise of running maybe a lot of agents at the same time. At the same time, you also presented some lessons learned, like step by step, and you also demonstrated that in your company. And I think this is true for anyone building something meaningful. You have steps like the prototype, and then there's user testing and iteration, like that involves humans again. And so I'm curious if you are, like myself, skeptical about, let's say, the quality of products that come out of agents running for a long time. If you have seen anything where this could be useful, if you have any idea where this could go.
Okay, I'll take it. So on my side, I never had a task that ran more than potentially half an hour, where I did not see like an issue. Otherwise, and also I'm very like potentially a control freak with my with my agents. So I always want to see at least what's happening and have a certain control over it. I would freak out as well if I had too many agents running at the same time. So because of my work overload as well, like just my mental load. So when I see people or see the article from OpenAI that run something for like a few hours or overnight, I'm always wondering, how do they do this and how did it work so well, like for them? So no, I'm far from this level, but I try to, on my side, I try to see how far I'm ready to go and give this level of autonomy. That's also, I think, very personal and very dependent on how much you trust what it can do, yeah, and also the harness that you put in place. Any other questions?
Yeah, there is one online I will read from Luis Del Pozo. You spoke about checking the code and what your agent has written for you. How frequently are you checking that code and how truly? How much effort does that consume for you?
Do you want to take it?
Yes. So on my side, I always check what the code is writing, because maybe the same problems as Nico. I don't trust him very much to write everything he wants. And also on the long term, it's important to understand actually the code, because when sometimes you want, this can arrive, for example, I'm not a front-end engineer, and sometimes you need to change like the button or just the name of the button, and you cannot find it in the code, and you ask the LLM to just modify the name of the button, and then you say, okay, stop, something is wrong. So I usually try to always, when it generates, understand, and I'm doing it on VS Code, and you can also accept or undo what he's doing. So yes, on my side, I'm usually always checking what he's writing and never just do something and accept everything.
Yes, similar for me. So I'm a Python engineer, so I check thoroughly the backend, but it's true for the front end. I can't really review it very thoroughly. So what I do usually is I have agents that review certain aspects of the codes. I would run them all the time to make sure that if there's something that I don't really understand in the mechanics, that it's fine, especially on the security side and what it passed through to the backend. If potentially there could be some way to for a hacker to extract some data from other organizations or other users. So that's what I want to verify every time. But yeah, I'm not. I can't review this code like very thoroughly. So on the Python side, yes, same as Denis. To answer the other part of the question, how much effort does that consume for you? This is actually what takes me the most time. I think it's always the verifying part, like that takes me the most time, because defining the requirements is actually okay. And then it's just going through the entire process of coding and testing. And the testing part is what takes me the most time, and verifying the code afterwards as well. So yeah, definitely I would say more than 50% of my time spent on testing and verifying the code.
But maybe in this case, I will add that usually for me, it's still faster that verify the code that is written, that write everything myself. So even if you need to check every time, it'll still be faster than doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And it's making also like 4 eyes check for the code that's written by LLM, and then you verify what has done.
Any other question?
Okay, I have 2 more questions. One is just on tooling. So someone already asked about Google Stitch, which is maybe a bit new. But there's also anti-gravity, which I think has this live preview as well, also by Google, as by a team that they bought. Have you tried that for prototyping as well? And second part on tooling would be, have you tried Codex instead of Claude Code? Because I'm asking because personally I suspect that GPT 5.4, even non-pro, is actually quite a bit more intelligent than Opus and makes less mistakes. And I do think that maybe, even though I like Codex and it's the only thing I use, that Claude Code is probably a better, more mature product, and Anthropic is really good at products. So that's on tooling. Maybe just some comments, some random things you have tried, some things you can share. And just maybe I will ask the second question right after.
Yeah. Okay. So regarding the tooling, so for Stitch, I did use it, but I didn't use it professionally. So I used it for some prototypes that I use personally. I haven't yet included into my workflow where I iterate on the front end with it. So far, I had a really good experience just working with skills from Vercel and Anthropic on the front end, and just purely in Claude Code. So yeah, potentially something I should try more. And also seeing Pencil also the other day made me also want to try this type of tools a bit more. So no, yeah, not personally. Regarding Codex, I did use it a little bit, but it's more personal. But now with everything that happened with OpenAI and everything, I try to boycott a little bit OpenAI, but that's personal. I know that potentially the model is very good. I use the OpenAI models at my clients, so this is what I implement it with. But on my developer workflow at home or even at work, I tend to use Anthropic models way more. So I have a bias there.
Fair enough.
You want to have your go on this?
Yes, maybe about anti-gravity. I used it to test, but honestly, for me, it's maybe more a UI aspect, but for me, it's not smooth enough. I prefer for the, at least prototyping the interfaces, the website, because it's more intuitive and more smooth. And maybe the same comment, I will also use the Android Studio to create apps for mobile phones. The same thing, you have also an agent with Gemini integrated in, but it seems a bit more stupid, maybe, even if you use the Gemini with the VS Code integrated. The AI part seems better integrated. So yes, honestly, I prefer Claude or just VS Code agents.
Okay. And then finally, in the beginning, you mentioned something interesting. I thought that it's all going to be more expensive in the future when more people are using AI. And I was wondering if this is some kind of consensus opinion or if it's your own opinion, and how sure you are about it. Simply because, of course, compute is also increasing, and so it wasn't such an obvious thing to me so far.
In terms of resources, you mean?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So have you seen this image of how much people are using AI in the world currently, and how much developers and how many people just are using the chat? Yeah, you saw with the squares, right? Anyone saw this picture? I'll just show it briefly because I think it's quite interesting. Yeah, yeah, right. We can't read it really well, but it says each dot is 3.2 million people. The red dot is actually 3 to 5 million people that are developers using Claude Code. And then there's people that code with, sorry, the yellow, I forgot what it was, but essentially the green one is just everybody that using ChatGPT on a regular basis. So if you look at this is potentially like, I don't know, an eighth of the entire world population.
Yellow is a subscription.
Subscription, paid subscription, and then free users. Exactly. So it is like a minority of people, and the adoption is growing over time. And it's just going to be more and more consumption. So that's the first rule. Like I say, you see it everywhere. People are getting more accustomed to using, even like in a corporate, they will start to use Cowork, Claude Cowork, or this type of tools, which is just using a lot of tokens. So this is the first part. The second part is also that at the moment, Anthropic and OpenAI, they are losing money. Everything that we consume is cheap at the moment, and it's not going to be sustainable forever. So two things are going to happen. First of all, in terms of resources and data centers, if we don't build way more data centers for at least, let's say, if we predict that 1/3 of the world is going to be using AI, even just the free version, we definitely don't have the energy power to sustain that. So first thing. The second thing is the price. And so it means that everything will become way more expensive. And so that means like running a 24/7 agent is not going to be a solution for everyone. And so we'll have to optimize that. So that's what I meant by optimizing the resources. Yeah.
I would also add that it's a good time to get involved with AI. I think people are starting, and there's so much to come. So it's very exciting to be at the forefront right now. Yeah. Encourage people to keep playing a lot with AI.
There is also a question online from Krunal. Do you use AI for verifying the LLM generated code, and how? Auto-recursive improvement.
Yes, so I mentioned that a bit earlier too. Yeah, I do use AI for verifying codes. I do it even at work at my clients. We have a functionality in GitHub to have a Copilot to sometimes review certain parts, especially when I want to understand the code that is big and where there's not a lot of documentation. Sometimes I just want to know what the hell is going on here. So if I have specific questions, I would definitely use it. And then, of course, I have my own way of reviewing some stuff, like there's typing there. That's, I don't know, some coding standards are according to how we are coding in the team. So that I still do manually, but more and more I put these into my skills.mda too, and try to review that automatically. So it's true that I use AI more and more for reviewing as well. Yeah.
Okay, there is space for another question. Last one. Okay, nobody. So I think we can move to the networking session. Just a word to complement to what Carl said at the beginning. For those who are the first time, we organize this kind of session every 2 weeks to show use cases. And I have the pleasure to tell you that we are organizing the first workshop about the use of Cloud Code and Cloud Cowork, the 21 of April. So we will send a survey to see which one want to participate. Just to anticipate a little bit, it will be a 4 hours workshop where it's divided into 3 different sections: Cloud Code Beginner, Cloud Code Advanced, and then Cowork, which for those who don't know is the part for automatize workflows without coding of Anthropic. For those who want to follow us, we have this QR code which bring you to the website, and then from the website you can join us on WhatsApp. We have a group of more than 1,000 people, actually 2 groups now in WhatsApp, because it doesn't allow to go beyond the 1,000. Ciao Eva. And then we have also LinkedIn, where we post the video of the session. They're called videos of the session. You can find there, and you can also follow the new session upcoming. And of course, we have also a membership for those who want to pay once and never register for the overall year. So you're welcome to ask to either Carl or Nicolas or us, and we have the pleasure to.
The info is on the site as well.
Yes, all the info is on the website. So please follow. And what else? I think we can conclude this session. Thank you, Nicolas. Thank you. Thank you to both of you. And so let's go for the break. Okay. Okay.